Hey guys, so what am I talking about? So recently I released a new segment where I talk about analyzing argument and I analyze an actual article with you. I haven't done it before, but from what I can see, you guys are actually really enjoying it. I want to remind you guys that I am doing a Analyzing Argument live stream next Friday the 27th after school at 5 p.m. So if you have any questions for me, I encourage you to start asking away. I'll put the link to the live stream below for you guys so you can hit that link and then go and set up a reminder for yourself. There's also a chat section there for you to actually start answering your questions. So do that because you know, I need questions to start off with to answer. So if you get in early, then I'll probably start off with yours. So heck yeah, let's answer this. So Asa has asked me, hey Lisa, this video was super helpful, but I was wondering if next time you could include a section where you transfer your annotations and put it into a paragraph. I know in order to get a high mark, you shouldn't be focusing too much on the techniques, but rather in a more holistic way. It'd be pretty cool to see which ones out of the bunch you annotate you choose to include in your analysis. Thank you. I eventually wanted to get up to this point and talk more about structuring an essay and how to organize it in a body paragraph, but I was trying to figure out what to do for this video, and then I thought, you know what, why not just do it now? So obviously with analyzing argument or language analysis, however you want to call it, it's a big section in the exam and there's a lot to cover. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about how I actually structured the essay for a language analysis because I think that is more suited to an entire video in itself, but I thought I would at least just create one paragraph for you guys just to give you a little bit of an idea of how I would go about it so you can walk away from this video with a little bit of extra knowledge to help you with your language analysis. So basically in the paragraph that I've created, you'll see that I don't use every single language technique that I have found, and that's the whole point. You want to be at that skill set where you can find so many language techniques, but you're so good that you know that you can't analyze absolutely everything. So you go and choose the gems out of the lot. So choose the ones that you think will help you set yourself apart from other students. So for example, I always try to encourage my students not to necessarily always talk about stats or rhetorical questions or inclusive language because those ones are super obvious. They're the ones that everyone can find. So of course, you don't just strategize your essay and choose techniques that you think no one else is going to write about, because what if that rhetorical question is actually a really strong one where you could elaborate and say something really insightful about it, right? So it's all a balancing game. Let's just get into the paragraph and give you guys a look. So what I do is I base paragraph according to ideas. Now, every single author who creates an article has a main contention, but what we're after now are the smaller ideas that the author makes in order to support that overall contention. So one idea that I've chosen to talk about is the idea of what school has become or the current school culture. And in my paragraph, I have included a few language techniques that I believe fit into this overall idea. So Frost highlights the current and unpleasant school culture in an effort to rouse support from other parents. So you can see here that this is the idea that I'm focused on. His use of the metaphor, chained to their desk all day, suggests how children are being imprisoned by their schooling, especially since it's 7 days a week. This may deter parents from supporting the principal's absenteeism policy as they feel as though their children are spending more than enough time at school. So you can see here that I've already included one language technique, and it's the metaphor. The main reason why I've included this metaphor is because the idea that the children are chained to their desk all day really reflects the school culture and attitude of Frost's child's school. Next, I say, Frost compounds this idea of trapped children through highlighting that school is now a childcare for big kids, rather than a place to educate kids. The childcare works to portray the school and by extension, the principal, as incompetent at their job of raising an independent next generation. As a result, disgruntled parents may resist the idea of a truancy policy as it becomes apparent that more times at school is unlikely to equal better outcomes for their child. So I've inputted a second language technique here, and I've really focused on the idea itself though. I'm emphasizing the fact that this school, as it is right now, is just not a good place to be. And you can see that I'm being consistent with this idea because I start off this sentence with Frost compounds this idea, showing the link with my own sentences. Then I move on. Moreover, Frost's declaration that school is now a romance system may further encourage parents to support his case, as it is implied that children are being held custody by the school. His passion may strike a chord with other parents who feel alienated by the seemingly impenetrable school culture with which they find it difficult to contribute or influence. So I finished off this paragraph with a third and final language technique. So as you can see here, what I am focused on more as a writer of this essay is the idea of school culture. And with that, I try to find language techniques that work with it. I don't do it the other way around where I base it off a language technique and try to cram, I don't know, just ideas into a language technique or try to make it work that way, because it's going to be a lot tougher for you. Focus on the ideas and see which techniques fit into it. Now, I found more techniques, I think, than the 3 that could have fit into this body paragraph, but I felt like these 3 pointers were probably the strongest ones and the ones where I felt like I could really show off my analytical skills. So I talked about a metaphor, I talked about how the place is a childcare, so the portrayal of the school like a childcare and the idea of trapped children or imprisoned children. I worked off this idea. Then I worked off this idea even further by talking about a remand system, which is legal jargon for custody. So it's like these children are just being condemned to this school, which is something that no parents would want. And so I really emphasized that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope that answers your question, Asa. I only use 3 language techniques, but it's not about the quantity. It is about the quality of the work that you're portraying. Sorry, I keep looking down because I've written my stuff here for you guys, but you'll notice that these language techniques don't come one after another in the article. They're kind of all over the place, and this is really important to enable you to be able to go and find different techniques from different areas of the article, rather than just confining yourself to, oh, this author's written this one paragraph, let me try to find all their techniques in this one paragraph and transport that into one paragraph in my essay, you know? So to sum up, main messages are focus your paragraphs on an idea. It's not about quantity, it's about quality of your language techniques. Try to find the ones that are going to show off your skills. And 4th, you don't need to find language techniques in a chronological order. You can pick them out wherever you please. That's it. So if you find this interesting, or if you're not being taught this at school, or you feel like the advice that I'm giving you is actually really helpful, then I'd encourage you to go and check out my study guide that I created with 2 other girls who achieved a study score of 50. So we have an entire section there about analyzing argument, from analyzing itself, language techniques, essay structure, writing up the essay, then showing you high essay responses with annotations to ensure that you know what you're doing. So I've got you covered, all right? Don't stress. So I will see you guys next week for the live stream. It will be on Friday 27th at 5 p.m. So as usual, I'm your Friday girl. I'm always here on Fridays. And you guys can ask me any of your questions related to analyzing argument then. Speak to you guys then. Bye!